and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. The United Nations has released $58 million to assist 2.4 million people affected by Boko Haram-related violence in 2015. A document made available to newsmen by a UN official, Kate Pond, said the UN Central Emergency Response Fund, CERF, allocated the said amount from March 2015 to February 4, 2016. The document also explained that with the support of CERF's Rapid Response Funds, humanitarian partners had been providing life-saving assistance and protection for the most vulnerable people. The federal government has said the recent spate of attacks by Boko Haram insurgents is not an indication of any resurgence by Boko Haram, insisting that the terrorist group remains largely decimated. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja on Tuesday, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said anyone familiar with the details of insurgency would not be surprised by the recent attacks.
Boko Haram has dislodged from their occupied territories. Thousands of their captives have been set free. Their capacity to operate as a troop, moving in comfort of vehicles and motorcycles to launch attacks on communities and military formation has been neutralized. In essence, some dishonest and effectively denied territory or sanctuary and are now in disarray. They are today scattered, demoralized, and hungry. They are therefore resorted to terror tactics available to the degraded and defeated insurgents. It hurts them to know that we know that they are decimated.
Nigerian lawmakers have asked the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC) to suspend the controversial 45% tariff hike following an outcry from Nigerians. Senate President Bukola Saraki, in a Facebook post, said this was part of the Senate's resolution during their plenary on Tuesday. According to the Senate President, the move became necessary because any increase in cost without necessary improvement in service delivery by the power companies was unacceptable. He added that power distribution companies must work to ensure that every establishment in Nigeria is provided with capabilities for metered billing. Former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired, has finally appeared before a judge of the Federal High Court in Abuja weeks after he failed to show up in court. Dasuki is facing a 4-count charge of money laundering and illegal possession of firearms brought against him by the Department of State Services (DSS). At the resumed hearing on Tuesday, Dasuki asked the court to adjourn the trial until the federal government complies with an order of the Federal High Court granting him bail. However, counsel to the federal government, Dikbo Okbesheyi, opposed the motion. After deliberations, the court adjourned till March 3rd. The Nigerian government has identified the collaboration of the international community as crucial in the fight against corruption. While addressing a UK trade delegation who paid him a visit in Abuja, the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Useni Uguru, noted that the wave of cybercrime has made it more pertinent to seek the collaboration of the international community.
Today, globally, the wave of corruption is no longer localized, especially with the introduction of cybercrime. And this is the point at which the international community is very, very important as collaborating partners in fighting the corruption. And so this collective responsibility, being entrenched in our system by the collaboration you and we as a nation are seeking and entering into, will be of great essence and assistance to this country. Besides, we also believe that at the local level, the institutional capacities we are trying to entrench will also assist in fighting the corruption. Knowing that corruption is without physical boundaries, we are doing all we are doing, including the President's bilateral and multilateral engagements in reaching certain protocols and agreements with countries for fund repatriation, for zero tolerance in protection of crime-prone agents, whether as corporate organizations or individuals. The nation is doing a lot in that regard. And so for the Niger Delta, certain peculiar crimes are associated, which are kidnapping, pipeline vandalizations, and so on. The local approaches being adopted within the region are being taken in synergy of the Ministry of Petroleum, the Nigerian Navy, Civil Defense Corps, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, the Niger Delta Development Commission, and other significantly relevant agencies in the region to be dealt with in such peculiar manners as they occur on the peculiarity of the region.
President Muhammadu Buhari has once more brought to the fore what he called hunger and starvation ravaging northeast Nigeria following the Boko Haram insurgency. The president was speaking after holding meetings with the Liberian President Johnson Ellen Sirleaf, who came to Nigeria on Tuesday. He asked the international community to continue to support him to restore peace in the northeast being ravaged by starvation brought about by Boko Haram. The two leaders pledged to continue to do their best to ensure that their economies get back on track. Former Governor of Borno State, Ali Modu Sheriff, has been named as the new chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The National Caucus of the PDP appointed Sheriff on Tuesday. Sheriff and the former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Nuhu Ribadu, were drafted into the race by the members of the party's caucus in Abuja at their meeting, which ended in the early hours of Tuesday. The PDP is Nigeria's biggest opposition party and was defeated only in May 2015 after holding power for 16 years. Senior Advocate of Nigeria Ricky Tafa has been arraigned by the EFCC before the Lagos High Court. Tafa was arraigned before Justice Aishat Okwesonwo on 2 counts charged bordering on obstruction of justice. Tafa has been accused of hiding 2 financial crime suspects in his car to prevent the EFCC from arresting them. He was also accused of having an unlawful telephone conversation with a judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Mohammed Yunusa. President Muhammadu Buhari has sacked the current Director General in charge of the Budget Office of the Federation, Yahaya Guzo, over the padding controversy surrounding the passage of the 2016 budget. Guzo, who replaced Bright Okogu, who completed 2 terms of office, was appointed to the office on August 18, 2015 for a term of 4 years that could have been renewed for another 4 years. But following the widespread irregularities detected in the 2016 budget presently under consideration by the National Assembly, Buhari has now terminated his appointment. Tijani Abdullahi has been named as Guzo's replacement. The president has terminated the appointment of 26 heads of federal parastatals and agencies. This was contained in a statement issued by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, which listed the identity of the 20 parastatals that had their bosses dismissed. He directed the disengaged chief executives to hand over to the most senior officials in their various establishments. Nigerian lawmakers have said the Senate will try to pass the 2016 budget before the end of March. However, a group in Nigeria known as Citizens World Platform has slammed some of the provisions in the 2016 budget. The group said the estimates in the 2016 appropriation bill are inappropriate, unclear and wasteful. Convener of the group, Eze Onyekpere, who revealed this at a press conference in Abuja, maintained that a lot of the demands in the budgets were either bogus, recurring or outrightly unnecessary.
We find a lot of requests for vehicles in the budget, as if to say vehicles are going out of fashion, so let me get my own. And some of these are coming with brand names, not even local brand names, foreign brand names, like you have those requesting the BMW from the presidency, you have requests for Prado, Toyota Jeeps, and you begin to ask yourself, the budget is not supposed to be a place where you prove brand names. All you do is to record the functional specificities of what you want to use the vehicle for. Because any vehicle. Anybody who can drive a BMW can as well drive a Mercedes. They're all luxury vehicles. So you ask yourself, why the craze for foreign-made vehicles when we have a local auto policy? We have Innocent in Inewi, we have Peugeot, we have even assembly of SUVs in Lagos now. So why don't we patronize our locally made products or assembled products? Because if we are worried about the value of the Naira, this is part of the challenge. If we ship out all the money that comes into from our budget to create jobs in foreign countries, to make those companies rich, and they will pay personal income tax, corporate income tax to their governments and not the Nigerian government. Now, we also saw what is called welfare packages. And we think that it doesn't make sense. You pay people their salaries, you provide for it in the budget, and you come back again to talk about welfare packages. It's of doubtful legality, and we think it should be expunged from the budget. And this other one, nuclear power program for Nigeria, I weep each time I see this. This is a deliberate attempt to commit suicide. Germany is already closing down its nuclear power plants. Japan, with all their technology, is thinking of closing down because they couldn't manage them, and the last one killed a lot of people. It caused a lot of problem. And Nigeria now wants a nuclear power plant. This is clearly an attempt to decimate the population because we don't have the discipline, neither do we have the technical capacity. If any accident, if you build a nuclear system, by the time somebody comes from America or Japan to work on this, the population will have halved. It could just allow you people, since no one die. By the time they come back, the population will have reduced about 90 million and become more manageable. So we are against this idea of building a nuclear power plant.
We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll look at more top stories. Stay tuned.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching the Funny White Man Show, which is the biggest, the brightest, and the most entertaining show in Africa.
Funny white man, funny white man, funny white man, but this way you talk, it's too much. Give me 5,000 man, that's you. It's too much. So you get it like, when she move along the street, yeah, me should like there, I'm going girl, you know, my own people, actually. Yeah, fine, it's fun. I enjoy it. And I'm one of those very few, I'm forever taking it personal. I will listen 160 million Nigerians are corrupt. How? My brother, I'm looking for you.
Yeah, but it's a growth, and this is the time to build business and know the pitfalls and know what to do and what not to do. But there are months where you get business and months.
You know how we do, how we train them. We do the way you do.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching Trending Matters on the Funny White Man Show. Of course, they will bring you trending issues just to entertain and tickle your fancy.
Welcome back. Nigeria's Minister of Communications, Adebayo Shitu, has said under his administration, no project will be ceded to the private sector, irrespective of lack of funds. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, Shitu distanced himself from any of such plans, which, according to him, is equivalent to shortchanging Nigerians and does not bode well for the country.
In Nigeria, we have this technological facility, which is first in Africa. You will recall, and I've been told authoritatively, that Nigeria is the only country in Africa which has a full-fledged satellite center like this. No doubt it is a pioneering effort, but I'm convinced that because of paucity of funds and because over the years government has not provided the needed attention for Nigeria's ICT industrial revolution, we are still at the level we are. We all know that all that we find here is just to support one satellite in orbit. Nigeria currently, has only one satellite in orbit. One satellite is certainly not enough. And the analogy for you to understand, the risk and the danger of having just one is like a transporter who flies Lagos to Abuja. He has 4 tires, but he doesn't have extra tire. If something happens on the way, certainly he will be stuck. All his passengers who must have paid for fare would also be stuck. That explains the great need for us to have more than one satellite in orbit so that all other countries and all other agencies and all other companies who are patronizing us and paying money for services, satellite services, would be rest assured that their investments would be secure and safe. We are already making efforts since we came on board to ensure that we get foreign financiers to assist with loans to build a second and possibly a third satellite in orbit so that we can be rest assured that we have enough capacity to host the entire world in regard to satellite information provision.
Nigeria's naira remained weakened to a record 345 to the dollar on the parallel market, increasing pressure on the government to devalue the official exchange rate to narrow the gap and spare Nigerians from huge bills for imported goods. The official rate, however, remained at 197 to 50 to the dollar. Tumbling global oil prices have battered Africa's top crude exporter, with foreign exchange reserves down to an 11-year low at $27.85 billion by February 11th. Nigeria's government is concerned that further depreciation will hurt poor Nigerians, but the bank's refusal to revise the pegged exchange rate has widened a gap between official rates and the parallel market. Oil ministers from 3 OPEC countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Venezuela, as well as Russia, have agreed to freeze oil output at January levels as long as others follow suit. The announcement came after the 4 ministers met in Doha on Tuesday. The move is designed to support the global oil prices, which has dropped sharply in recent months. U.S. crude futures were trading at $29.25 a barrel, while global benchmark Brent crude was up more than 6% at $35 a barrel. Oil prices have fallen about 70% from their recent peak of around $116 a barrel in June 2014. The steep decline is due to oversupply, sluggish demand, and worries about the global economic outlook. Human error by a train controller was to blame for a crash in Bavaria, Germany last week, prosecutors said on Tuesday. 11 people were killed in the crash, as dozens more were injured after 2 commuter trains collided on a single-track stretch of railway. An area controller opened the track to the 2 trains and tried to warn the drivers, according to prosecutors. The man, who is 39-year-old, is likely to be charged with involuntary manslaughter and could face 5 years in jail. Super Falcons striker Asisat Oshoala is scheduled to speak at a FIFA Women Football and Leadership Conference as a guest speaker. The Liverpool ladies player is one of the female football stars, including USA legend Abby Wambach and sport icon Billie Jean King, invited to speak at the event targeted at encouraging more women to join football. The gathering, which accords with the International Women's Day, will bring together diverse voices from sports and wider society to channel a roadmap in which women in football can be further promoted. Banned FIFA President Sepp Blatter visited the headquarters of soccer's governing body on Tuesday for a hearing to appeal against his 8-year suspension from the sport. Blatter, 79, was banned in December along with European soccer boss Michel Platini over a payment of 2 million Swiss francs made to the Frenchman in 2011 by FIFA with Blatter's approval for work done a decade earlier. FIFA's Ethics Committee, which imposed the bans on Blatter and Platini, said the payment lacked transparency and presented conflict of interest. Both men have since denied any wrongdoing. That's all we have on news now. We thank you very much for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.